Rory was talking about the uncertainty. I'm going to talk about the failures. Looks like a pretty optimistic lineup so far. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to talk about the post-mortem analysis. The question for you, how many of you had a chance to attend or write the post-mortem in your past? Okay, quite a few of you. So yeah, anyway, I hope you'll get something out of it. So basically the post-mortem, kind of scary name. And it is indeed scary because like literally it means examining a dead body and like after death, examining what was the reason and all the things around that issue. And traditionally it is conducted in a kind of project organizations after project completion, whether it succeeded, whether it failed. It's kind of retrospective, but conducted after the project completion phase. So the project is no longer running; it's done. Then it was adapted to IT systems, and we don't usually do that. I mean, we do that as well at the end of the project, but we use the post-mortem analysis also during the project being live. When the project is running, when the product is running on production system, when there is an outage, we are doing post-mortem analysis in order to figure out what happened, to get better, to get the system in a better shape for the future. And its core, it's about learning from failures, from our own failures, from failures of the infrastructure, from human failures, and that's what we are going to talk about now. And why I'm talking about it? I'm a software engineer, kind of seasoned one. I shipped many bugs to production. I mean, many systems to production with the bugs. I caused several production outages. I was guilty of some of these. I helped to recover from many production outages as well. And I attended and wrote and authored many post-mortem sessions over my career. So I guess I know a thing or a few about this. So obligatory quote, why failures happen? Because we do stuff. The only man who never makes a mistake is the man who never does anything. So if you don't do anything, you are not going to fail unless you treat as a failure the fact that you don't do anything. And why failures happen? Again, because we do stuff. We try new things. We deploy new stuff to production. We take sometimes the risky moves. We experiment. We discover new ways of doing stuff. There's no way we are going to succeed, like totally succeed on the first try. We need to fail. Because that's the way, that's how we progress. That's how we learn from our own failures. We discover new things. We discover new ways of not doing stuff, and we get better at it. We learn from that. When failure happens, the most critical part is to get the system up and running on production, to start serving users again, to start being cooperative again. Sometimes the easiest way to do that is to just throw money at it. Like recently, like a few months ago, we had a issue in our production running system. And the issue was that there was a marketing campaign being sent that we didn't know about it. So we had a sudden spike of the load going through the roof. And there is no way if the spike is sudden, like within a second, you get the total spike of the load. There's no way an auto-scaling can help in here. So we got out. The system was out. The system was unresponsible. And the easiest way to do that was to scale everything out as much as possible. Throw money at it, scale, add additional instances at a database level, in a components level, whatever. Just throw money at it, get the system back up and running, and only then focus on the actual analysis, what happened and why it happened. When we got the system up and running, again, you may think that it's natural to just jump right into the details of the issue that happened, start figuring out what happened. And that may be an issue, that may be a thing if there was a kind of minor outage, but if the outage was really critical and was really long lasting and the fight was really long, few hours, sometimes during the night, the best way to do right after the outage, getting the system back is to get the team, take the team and get them some rest. Let them take a breath, let them soak up what happened so that they kind of internalize what happened. They can build their own vision or their own version what happened. They can kind of understand subconsciously the stuff that happened. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days sometimes. Let them take a sleep, let them grab a beer, whatever. But how long is long enough? Sometimes I saw the projects that conducted the postmortems after 2 or 3 weeks, even a month. And it may happen that you start getting comments like that. Like after a month or 3 weeks, it's like, nah, we had worse outages before. That one was not that critical. Even if it was, the teams may start kind of diminishing the criticality, the severity of the incidents that we had. So to my experience, it's like 1, 2 days, 3 days at max is the best time to gather information and to start working. After 3 days, to start working on the analysis of the incident. So when to run the postmortem? I mean, what are the conditions that we should figuring out that okay, the postmortem is needed? This is a few bits from the Google SRE book that's published on their pages. So obviously, user visible downtime that lasts more than the time that we agreed with users. Data loss of any kind. Data corruption, monitoring failure if we need to somehow discover incidents by users raising tickets to the support or kind of manually without any automated way of monitoring. So all the stuff that you may think of. And yeah, just start with highly critical incidents. First, if you're just starting, just start with highly critical incidents. Don't care about the minor ones, and then start building up. On the right, you can see the list of the incidents of the postmortems from our Confluence page. There's quite a few of these, so you may think that we have a really buggy system. Maybe, but still we started at the bottom. We started with very few incidents. That's where we did the really critical ones. We handled the really critical ones, and over time we are adding the postmortems or getting the knowledge, writing down the knowledge and the lessons learned from these, from smaller incidents, from incidents that users have never seen, when there was a release that didn't went exactly as planned, that we can learn from it and we can do better. That's the stuff that we collect, we learn from, and we write down. And if you are just starting with a postmortem, the most critical thing and the most important stuff is to get all the attendees, all the team members on the same page. Align the expectations. Let the people know what they can expect from the postmortem analysis and what's going to be expected from them during the postmortem analysis. So agree and write some kind of contract with the team so that we can operate in the same space. Push for the blameless culture. Because without blameless culture, if we start blaming each other, if we start finger pointing, that's going to be toxic. And without that, we cannot really learn. We cannot really get full potential out of the postmortem and any other learnings that we'll have over time. And grab a template. This is kind of a simple one. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Just grab a template. There's tons of the templates over the internet. Just grab one and start using it. And a few more words about the blameless culture. Because I mentioned it's really important. Why it is so? Because if we agree that we are not going to blame ourselves, we are not going to blame other people, we are not going to finger point and create a kind of toxic atmosphere, it creates a safe space for experimentation, for failing, for delivering value, for experimenting, for discovering new ways. If you know that you can fail safely, and no one is gonna blame you, you're not gonna be punished for that. It's way easier to work in that kind of space. And if the failure happens, if we have the postmortem analysis, we are working on the outage itself, it's way easier to work, knowing that we are all working towards the same goal, and no one is blaming you. We are here together. We work as a team. And we need to focus on why something happened and not who has done the mistake and why the mistake was caused by that particular person. But on the other hand, it's not about not calling the names. We want to know who did what and when, because only then we know we can have a full context of the situation. Because if for example, if there was a senior guy that has done a mistake during the deployment or whatever, imagine what's going to happen if the more junior guy is going to be tasked with that same task. It's going to be kind of catastrophic, probably, if the senior guy with so much experience has made a mistake. So we need to know who did that, but without blaming, without finger pointing. And before postmortem, as I mentioned, this 1, 2, 3 days before that, after the outage, but before the postmortem, it's time to take a rest, but it's also time to collect all the stuff that we want. Collect all the evidences, collect all the logs, metrics, files that you've seen, messages on Slack, I don't know, charts on your monitoring, some alerts or suspicious behaviors of the systems. Just get that together and use it on a postmortem session. Ideally, be able to reproduce the issue on production. I mean, if the issue is highly controlled and you are sure that this is what happened, I mean, one more issue that is tiny and controlled, like for just few seconds, may not make much difference, but you'll be sure that that was really the case. Because the worst thing is that the worst thing is when you think that you know what happened, but it was just a coincidence and you are solving the wrong problem. And I like to build, and that's pretty common, I like to build the postmortem from these 3 parts. The first one is building a timeline of what happened. So what we usually do, we get collectively together, all the people that are involved in a postmortem. We kind of contrast our opinions, our visions of what happened. We kind of fill the gaps in the timeline, starting from the very first symptoms of the issue that happened, ending at the end of the production outage when we have the system up and running. And the crucial thing is here is that we need to have everyone on the same page. But we need to know step by step what and when happened. It's not yet maybe about why that happened, because it's not that stage yet, but we need to know what happened. So when the first symptoms of the outage have been seen, when there was a reaction, what was the reaction, what was the time of the reaction, what time it took, how long it took to bring the system back, how long it took to execute the procedure, whatever. We need to know this step by step, have a step by step clear timeline. So basically 3 questions: who, when, and what was done. The second pillar, identify the root causes. This is about drilling down to what actually happened and why that thing actually happened. And you may be tempted to use this kind of famous 5 whys analysis or 5 whys method. So you have a question, why the thing happened. You ask another question, why, and you drill down deeper into that one part of one level deeper of the root cause. But the thing is that with the 5 whys, it's really easy to just focus and have kind of tunnel vision of only one issue, only one root cause of the issue itself, and overlook all the other stuff that happened at the same time, and also took part in the outage itself. So there are 2 in this root cause analysis domain itself, in the factories and in the production systems. Like real production systems, not actually IT production systems, is that they use the methods that are commonly called as fishbone diagram or tree mapping. So you can see these two pictures. The one at the top actually looks like a kind of fishbone diagram. It's a method to try to look at the outage, try to look at the root causes from the several points of view. We first group the items, we first group the top level stuff into some groups, just to have more points of view to drill into. And the tree mapping is pretty similar. It's just that if you like rotate one of the images, it will probably look, or rearrange the image, it will probably look the same. But the thing is that the 5 whys usually focuses only on one root cause of that one problem, and the other 2 try to focus on the broader picture. That's why they are kind of preferred. And for the Space Shuttle Challenger and Columbia accident, back then there was a case for actually the fishbone diagram and all the tree mapping stuff. There was a single O-ring that failed because of the lower temperature. So if they use the 5 whys, they would probably come to the conclusion, okay, we need to use the different material for the O-ring so it's more durable. But then they looked at that from different perspective. They looked from the perspective of processes. They looked from the perspective of all the checks, all the decision trees and all that stuff. And as a result, for the Challenger, they found 9 action points as a result of the postmortem. And for the Columbia Space Shuttle, they found 29 of these. And that's why, because they looked at the broader picture. And third one is defining action items. So it's the most common one, and it's the easiest one to explain. But the trick here is that the action points need to be actionable, actually. I mean, it's not like the action point, get rid of the core database of the core system. It's not doable. I mean, you're not going to do it in a week or two. They need to be things that are actionable, that you can actually work on. As an owner, so that's the usual thing, what we do for every single meeting with action points. And prefer automation over manual processes. If your action points are about adding one more steps to already 20 steps procedure, you're going to fail again. It's not going to work. Who to invite to the postmortem sessions if we have all that plan at hand? Firemen and the fire starters, probably yes, because we want to know the whole context. We want to know why it started, how it started, and we want to know how it was resolved. So we need to have a full context. Product managers, project managers, other stakeholders, that may sound counterintuitive somehow, but if you get them into that meeting, and they will see how we are struggling with that, how critical the outage was, how hard it was to get back up and running, you will get the easier buy-in for action points, for actually implementing the action points. They will understand that they will suffer a lot when the thing will happen again. User, customer-facing people, support guys, they may give you a different perspective. When users started seeing the outage, what were they reporting, and what was the, let's say, scope of the outage from the user's perspective. And whoever you feel is valuable, like experts, DB admins, SREs, whoever. And what to emphasize. Now these 2 slides about what to emphasize and what to avoid. The one what to emphasize for the postmortem is we are doing it to learn from failures. We are not doing it to blame anyone. We need to know what happened to get better at what we do and to get system better for the future. It's a kind of aha moment because it reveals something that we didn't know about, and we want to find what the thing was, to learn about that, to know for the future how to avoid that stuff. Recognize and appreciate the good bits. I know it's about failures, so the thing itself was pretty miserable, but we want to appreciate the good bits, the good actions that have been taken, the good resolutions, and the good steps that were that led us through to getting the system back up and running, and get the buy-in from stakeholders. Try to drag them into the meeting even if they don't really want. I know it's highly technical one, but getting them witness what are we struggling with will get you the easier buy-in for the stuff that you're working on. What to avoid? Don't put too much pressure on this never happening again, because that's gonna paralyze people sometimes. If you're gonna repeat that, we need to make sure that it's not gonna happen again. I mean, okay, we may do our best in this, but we cannot guarantee that it's not gonna happen again. I mean, a very similar case, maybe on a different part of the issue of the system, it may still happen again, but we did our best. So don't put too much pressure on that, especially if you're starting with the postmortems. And don't treat the postmortems as yet another meeting, just a dog to fill and then continue work on. It's really a highly valuable lesson, and we need to learn from it. And if all in the team can understand that this is the purpose of the meeting, we only then can get most out of it. Don't create overly complex procedures, as I mentioned, like adding 2 steps to 10-step procedures. at some day, I guarantee that the step will be overlooked. Someone is not gonna do that, and you will fail again. So automation is the key here. And try to not focus on only one root cause. I know that's the easy part to find the first, to analyze the first found root cause. But usually there's a kind of blog post in the internet, I don't have a link here, that is titled root causes is plural. And this is a key here. I mean, there are several factors that you can analyze and learn from. And what next? If you have it done, seek for review from other people, from the people who haven't attended the post-mortem analysis. They may have some interesting inputs to either some document itself, the output itself of the post-mortem, or to the facts that we have in a post-mortem, to the information that we have in a post-mortem. Verify action points completion. So set up a deadline, month, 2 weeks, depends on the complexity of the action points. Set up a deadline and verify that they have been actioned on, that they haven't been buried deep in the backlog and for doing never, that they verify that they have been done, or at least started working on. Have well-known and accessible repository of that, so that is well-known to all the team members. They can go and look at it and maybe exercise their own part of the system, their own service against the vulnerabilities found in the other postmortems. And make it live. Make an internal tech talk out of it. Make a simulation on the production. If you know that you have it fixed, let's do the simulation that we know that it's not going to happen. We are sure that it's not going to happen. Do the war games. Try to do some kind of simulations or exercises on either production or any other environments. What if we fail that way? What if we fail this way? What if that part was going to fail? And kind of fuck up nice. That's the funny thing. Like people get over with a beer and pizza and talk about their recent fuck ups in their own systems. There's plenty of this, and there's a Polish podcast about that. It's about like 3 or 4 hours long about the fuck ups, and it's not yet all. And basically that's it. Failures are okay if we learn from them. If failures happen and they keep happening in the same form and the same failures keeps happening, it means that we don't learn from them as much as we could, and we can get better at it. Thank you.